have people saying that we should reopen now, and I don't want to get into that. That's for the for the Spanish podcast. But the thing is that this is in this new reality. A sample in the music industry was headed to minimize sound as much as they could, so they were in a way hurting music and the foundations of it, and now this whole public is at home. There's a lot of people who's at home right now. It's not only the kids, you have to provide entertainment for the adults too. So now rock has a huge and a more broader spectrum. It's not that rock is having any problems. It's just, for example, in Puerto Rico it does. But if you go to Europe, rock is like the main music in Europe. So let's say, for example, for EDM, for fans, you don't have to. The thing is that fans have this notion in which they can get more access to their artists, and besides getting more access to their artists, they can customize the experience of entertainment to their own environment. So now entertainment has become something that is more personal. You have to provide music. You have to keep running 80s music, 90s music, 70s music, and 60s music, because there's an audience now in the internet for that. That's not now people, senior people posting funny stuff and then getting back into reading and stuff, because now everybody's piled up in here. And that's the challenge that the entertainment industry has from this whole debacle, because it happened now. Who is to say that it will not happen in 5 years or in 10 years? We will be having another pandemic and another one. We have been exploiting the sources of Earth for so long, and the thing is that I'm not gonna get into conspiracy theories, but eventually biology has found itself to cleanse itself. And I'm not proud about that. I'm not celebrating that in any kind of format. The thing is that I'm trying to letting you into the reality that we are all in. Not because I had fun on 420 doesn't mean that I'm not suffering for many of the colleagues and musicians that I know that are not getting shows, that maybe they don't have the HD camera, They don't have an HD camera so they can do their lives. Maybe members of the band live really far from each other and they cannot perform a live performance as many bands have been doing. But there's the challenge. The internet has become the main staple and the main bane of the world right now. It is the internet. It's nowhere else. And it's the reality. It is what is keeping all of us connected. It is the way in which we can break social distancing while being under social distancing guidelines. It's what is keeping and holding everything together. So not only the entertainment industry, many industries will have to adapt to that, will have to abide by that, and by that I mean they will have to work with it. The entertainment industry especially is not the exception here. So we will be seeing more lives from our favorite artists. We will see, for example, David Guetta. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm gonna be real clear about that. But he did quite an amazing live using drones, and Guetta has money, So he had an amazing stage in the Brickell area in Miami, and he had an amazing kick-ass live performance through Facebook, and it felt like it was the UMF, and that's the point. That's the entertainment business adapting, and that's something that I have to give a huge shout out to the EDM part of the entertainment industry, especially in the music industry, is that it is an industry that can adapt to many situations, especially the ones that we are facing right now, and it is what it has been happening. EDM has been this leading point, and I think the people that are now doing this quarantine under these lockdowns, they deserve to have this broader experience. They deserve to have a better catalog of options, because there's people like me that are 37, there's people like 20. We have different musical tastes, and this is the time in which we as human beings, even though it is not cool to be locked down. Not everybody has a kick-ass mansion, pools, and things like that, But the thing is that this is a time in which we can take and grow in a cultural sense, that we can grow better. And maybe throughout this whole process, and in the end, I think the main idea is that we become a more better kind, a more better species than we were perhaps like 3 or 4 months ago. The internet may seem like a blank space, but the thing is that if you use it in a really, really well, it could create a most engaging and most engaging connection with each fan, and that's what we need to explore. That's what we need to develop. A new industry that adapts to that fan on that room that maybe does not have a car to get to the metro area and enjoy a really party of the music of what that person's like. But maybe that kid over there has to tailgate and to get a ride with a couple of friends that they just want to listen to trap and urban music, and he wants to listen, for example, for drum and bass or dubstep, and he has to ride in the car listen to music that he doesn't like. Now that's not that reality for that kid, because he has an option and he can get to the pages that he wants and he can enjoy what he wants. These are small perks of this whole social distancing and this whole quarantine project. There are advantages, and we need to take the most as we can, because what we have seen, and this is something that is inevitable, sorry for that. This is something that we cannot miss, and it's the fact that sorry for that. Yeah. And it's the fact that it is a new world, it is a new opportunity, and even though if our governments, because it is, we cannot ditch this, is the fact that right here in Puerto Rico and also in the United States, we have seen government putting economics over life, and that will, and many of professionals, in the opinion of many professionals, that puts us in a position in which we will be really vulnerable, and it could make things even worse. So maybe the stupidity of government and this frenzy of consumerism will lead us to a darker path. And that's why a calling to make an evolution in many industries, I think, is a little bit more than in order. So we need to redevelop what we know. And we need to do it right now. Because the reality of all of this is that many businesses, they gather around and they use media vehicles. And what they do at the end of the day, they make you believe that there's two sides, two people fighting, two Republicans and Democrats. In the case of Puerto Rico, they blues and reds. That's what they do. But they work all together. And politicians are just merely the puppets of this whole huge machine. The coronavirus pandemic has brought this whole machine to its knees. And that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that's a fact right there. This pandemic has brought that abusive system to its knees. So, in the case of Puerto Rico, what they're trying to do is that there's the CARES Act, in which around $3 billion were assigned to Puerto Rico to be redeveloped between checks of $1,200. Right? So what they're doing in Puerto Rico is that the businesses using their media outlet, they are promoting this agenda to reopen to reopen the airline in about 1 week. 1 week from when you heard this. If you hear it a day after or a week after, it may be tomorrow. But they're ready to open with a plan that does not make any sense. Even the plan from the United States makes more sense than the ones in Puerto Rico. They're about to open. They have tiers like the U.S. plan, but the movie theaters are opening in the second one. And it's really funny when you see the list of risk people. The least risk people is when the ones that you see getting in problem with the government and the buy-ins of millions of dollars of corruption and everything that goes on right here. And it's really painful. But the fact is that governments are not caring about us, so we're on our own. And the internet is the only platform that we have, and unfortunately, social media works in the interest of these companies that will soon fail. And they will be standing alone with who survives and develops and evolves during this whole crisis. So we need to stand united as we are facing the real truth of what we have taught to believe democracy. It is really oligarchy. So this is Macedon for the Macedon podcast. Stay tuned, and remember you can listen to this on Spotify. But if you get to the Spreaker page, you can subscribe and you get immediate notification as soon as the episodes get onto each platform and each medium. So it's been a real pleasure to be with you guys. We will see you next week. Bye bye.